All right, people, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel, and still getting a bit set up for a video recording, but oh well, oh well. So we are back, and I've gone full screen. There you go. Have a bit of Old Trafford in the background. No flooding, as you can see. See, I keep Old Trafford in better check than the actual people who monitor the real thing. So maybe I should be in charge of any stadium project. But then again, if I do that, I'll refuse to build anything and sell the club to Qatar. That's what I would do. Or somebody who actually is, not willing to do no cost-cutting measures, and somebody who'd be willing to get Glazers out of the club, because that's still a thing, guys. I don't know if some United fans have quite realised that. However, However, it has been a couple of days since we played Arsenal in the season opener at Old Trafford, and unfortunately, we lost that game 1-0. Now, a lot of people will say that was a complete and utter, shit show, bore fest of a game, awful football. And I think there's elements to both teams that you could say reasonable conclusion. However, I think it gives a very damning indictment for two factors in this game. One, first things first, is Manchester United it was not their lucky day in front of goal whatsoever. Had plenty of opportunities to make good on some chances. However, it looked like there were factors in that game. Is the fine margins between United actually getting their money's worth in that game versus, seemingly having fans going away with an awful, awful lot of copium. And yeah, that's kind of, I sort of feel a bit of copium to it as well, but I can also see perhaps management style. This game is also as big of a reason we lost versus um, incidences or players on the pitch. Um, Also, Bayindir, probably biggest outstanding issue with just ridiculously bad goalkeeping, and that's a feat that we've got with Manchester United goalkeeping at the moment. God only knows if it is just the individuals doing it or if it's the coaching that's a problem. Because floppy wrists is not what you should be paying somebody to be standing in between your goal sticks. You need somebody who's got some stronger wrists, not Poppadom hands. We need someone who's actually going to save shots that come their way, or save when the ball comes towards you, you stop it. That's a fundamental part of being a goalkeeper. Someone should clue Bayindir and Donana in on that. See, even Tom Heaton knows that. Even Tom Heaton, the best performing goalkeeper in pre-season. So spare your blushes, Ruben Amorim, for looking like a deranged psychopath when being asked a question about Bayindir's shortcomings and the incessance in continuing with this notion that you are happy with the three goalkeepers you have at your club, which I think perhaps would be a psychological issue if you think maybe the three goalkeepers we got is that's the right choice of three. We definitely need a goalkeeper. Bottom line, new goalkeeper, someone who's going to be a starting factor this season. 100%, whether it's the favourite starter or whether it's someone who signs as the backup, but when they feature, they are absolutely mission statement, clean sheets. Make the impact when you're given the opportunity, and we see them mesh their way into the first team. I'm somewhat okay with both ways in which it could go. And yeah, plenty of targets that we can potentially choose from. Obviously, we've had the Martinez links, we've had the Lamens links, we've had sensationalism with Donnarumma, which obviously that's not going to really materialise now. So I think probably the realist one at the moment seems to be Lamens, but even then, Lamens looks like a target that might be going off the market very soon because there is definitely other clubs interested in him. The other alternative is to be a bit more, bit more spendy with the cash that you do have left over and put it towards someone like a Diogo Costa, which I wouldn't necessarily say is a bad signing to make for your goalkeeper whatsoever. I think perhaps maybe there's an air of a overrated feature about him. I think it's I get overrated vibes from him. I don't know why. Don't know why. Feels overrated, so I'm not necessarily oh my good god, jumping out my chair, jumping for joy. Get this player, get this player. I'm not really feeling that sort of vibe, so I'm a temper my expectations. One position that is definitely a critical, mission critical, is that midfield. We essentially look a little bit like a polo team. There's a big, or as expressions perhaps would call it, Katie Hopkins FC, nothing in the middle. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe we have literally got nothing sufficient in the middle. I mean, we had the starting, midfield of Bruno Casemiro, and ironically, the midfielder that's closest to leaving out of that contingent in our club is Casemiro. And he was the best performing midfielder today. Not today, but on the day. He was the best performing midfielder out of all of them. Better than Bruno, better than Agate, who came on. Yeah, easily the best option in the middle of the park. I mean, Agate came on, and some people were checking his bank. They thought, hey, this guy must have taken a payment with how badly he's playing on an individual basis. Surely he's taken a payout to try and stick the winner and make sure that United never get back into things. And maybe that's kind of the slippery slope with Manuel Ugarte. Maybe we are going to start seeing the next player that the fans and the club are pining for the departure of. Quite possibly. I mean, if he can't find a way to improve or step up a level, he's going to start being seen much more in the light of being a problem as opposed to being part of the solution. Bruno is Bruno at this point. I mean, we were offered £100 million, as people had reported most of the summer. £100 million for a 30-year-old Bruno. That is holding this team back a little bit, I have to say. And yes, I do very much get the impression he does hold this team back because everything it's like I've seen a heat map for Bruno, right? For this game versus say I think the comparison was Carl Spalletti and his heat map in his game against Brighton, and you see with Carl Spalletti he's a lot more disciplined. He's a lot more disciplined and he puts a lot more faith and trust in his teammates. Whereas Bruno's heat map, the guy was everywhere. He's probably, part of his heat map probably looked a bit like he was closer to his goal line than even the goalkeeper was for both ends. And you just have to think to yourself, when you see a heat map that is so scattered out like that, at first you think, oh, well, he's just a crazy off the ball player, so passionate and everything, and he's just got to be everywhere. You're helping out here, helping out there, and getting stuck in. Passionate. He's driven. Like, we've got to have those players, but you get it mixed up between a player that gives a lot to a player that gives too much, because you do need to give a lot, but you also need to hold your discipline and hold your nerve. And one thing that's very apparent in Bruno is that he does not hold discipline over stepping on everyone else's toes on the pitch. He does. He doesn't think to, I'm going to stick here, take up position here, and let my teammates do their jobs the way that they need to, offering up space for other players to get more stuck in. That's why our midfield can be so easily got at, because Bruno will go everywhere except play positionally and be in the right scenarios, in the right position when the transition comes to him, when the possession changes feet. He has to be in the right places, and that's what he's not doing. So, listen, £100 million to get that problem out of your club, I would have snapped your hand off, and I wanted the deal to happen. I wanted the sale to happen. That would have been £100 million that you could have put towards signing a disciplined midfielder that puts trust and faith in teammates, but also does their job very well. Carlos Baleba would have been, a massive, gigantic signing for United to make. I see that I think we've, settled for the acknowledgement that, this Carlos Baleba deal is not going to be possible anymore this summer. Maybe we can return next summer to try and speak a deal into existence then. However, it does not mean that United should close that door for this summer. Midfield is still an absolute mission critical for this season. We need somebody who's going to be in there and doing a solid job. And one of the names that gets mentioned or has been mentioned recently is Agume. Agume? I don't know how you pronounce that, but we're going to call him Agume. Agume, Sevilla midfielder. I think he's like 22 years of age and very highly touted. I think some people say, he's similar to that of Carlos Baleba in position-wise and how he plays on the pitch. So it's one of those where I'm not somebody who watches La Liga 24/7. I'm not going to suddenly get linked to a player and say, oh yeah, that guy, he's really, really good. He's fantastic. Yeah, he's a proper quality player. Quality player. I'm not going to pretend to know who this guy is. I'm not going to look at a YouTube compilation and say, hey, this guy's fantastic based off of a couple of clips. You could make Ugarte look like the best player in the world with clipping him up and the good stuff he does. But it's just in moments, but you don't see the meat and potatoes of the performance across 90 minutes. But if Manchester United, and the scouting is, has fallen off a little bit with Man United, but if they recognise this player as sufficient alternative to Carlos Baleba for this summer, I'll just say, well, look, I'll trust you to make the right decision. If it works out, then fantastic. If it doesn't, then I've got to chalk that down against your name as another big. I'm going to have to add it to another reason of the many, many reasons that Ineos should get the boot as well as the Glazers. But yeah, I think as long as they believe that that's the right option, I'm just going to go along with it until we see exactly what he's made of, and how the club goes around managing this sort of business, the shrewd business. I'll say if we get Agume this summer and he performs well, but then next summer you still go out of your way to go get Baleba, because I can imagine you replace Bruno with Baleba in the midfield positions. If Bruno's not going this summer, you make that switch next summer. Bruno leaves the club, this be his last season, and then we sell him on next summer before the value of the player disappears. Let's make it happen, Manchester United. Because at the end of the day, if Bruno has a stinker season this season, that's it. He's not only done at the club, but so's his value. Because why the heck would anybody take the marquee man of Manchester United after a terrible season and say, yeah, still about 80 million, we'll still give you 80 million for him. they wouldn't even, people wouldn't even like to entertain even close to 50. Probably wouldn't want to entertain close to 50. I mean, we signed him for about 50, about 54, 54, 55. So, this is my concern. This is my concern. But that's individualism, right? Looking at the performance overall yesterday, or not yesterday, on Sunday, there's definitely a fair few significant improvements um, from what we saw. And that, I think, is enough for me to feel a bit more confident in the team going into fixtures, into games, that I can trust this team to get a result a lot more. I think next week, or this coming weekend, is Fulham away, um, which will be um, in its own right, a difficult um, first away test for Manchester United. I think last season we went there and our result was, I think it was it 2-1, or was that 1-0? I think it was a 1-0 that we got, and that was Lissandro Martinez. Could have been 2-0 before Ahmad's goal got ruled out for offside. But I think it's definitely a bit more, confidence inducing. One thing I'm still a little bit nervous about is Ruben Amorim and his team selections, because the guy feels like he's experimenting in ways he shouldn't. Like, you've got two number nines that are fit on your bench, two number nines fit, ready to go, and where you've insisted in needing number nines, you cannot, under any circumstances, walk into next game and say, yeah, Brian, you're going to start up top again. You can't do that. You just cannot do that. Brian plays in the 10. Cunha plays in the 10. Sesko or Xerxes plays in the 9. Right, that's it. Let's all go home now. Don't need to say anything more than that. Don't need to say anything more than that. That's all. That's the only setup in the strongest sense that Ruben Amorim should care about. Because Burma up top to shaft not Ahmed, to shaft Mount in there, or Bruno into one of the 10s, does not really look for good reading. I know he likes Mason Mount. I know he appreciates the guy. But trust me, as United fans, if people say, oh, Mason Mount's best performance in a United shirt, did he create significant big chances in that game? Did he force a few saves, big saves out of David Raya? Didn't really. Just ran around and covered a lot of ground. And I suppose that's really the only sort of thing you can do without picking up a significant injury again. And people, start the clock, people, the countdown timer before Mason Mount gets injured again. Because I can just see it happening. He picks up another injury and it's straight back to square one again. Oh, don't worry. We'll get him integrated and we'll get him up to speed and put him into the first team again. Even if other players are more deserving of that number 10 position. Just stop. Go away with bias towards Mount starting games. Yeah, Burma's better in the 10 than Mount. Cunha's better in the 10 than Mount. Are both of those guys better impact in their own right than Bruno Fernandes? That's how I feel. Better impact. And by impact, I don't mean, GAs. The GA is one thing. Elevating your teammates so their GA is good as well is another. Yeah, and whether that's you getting that assist or being pivotal to the build-up play, actually sticking. So the second to last pass that kills the opposition could impact the way the games in those matters, but not to be. But yeah, that's my feeling about the Arsenal result, as I'm not really mad about 1-0 to Arsenal, because I mean they've got their own serious problems. I mean they've just lost out Eberechi Eze, and Rodrigo I don't think is going to be leaving Madrid this summer. If he is leaving, is going to be to Man City or someone else. So Berta is cooking with Arsenal, and on top of that, they're what is it? Yokaku, Victor Yokaku is he's doing a fantastic job for them. Mm. Phenomenal job, phenomenal job. But I'm sure he'll find his mark. I'm sure he'll find his mark before anyone, you know, chops their tits off over what I'm saying about Gyökeres. I'm sure he'll come good in some way. I mean, maybe he'll be scrapping with Kai Havertz for that number 9 position. Um, and perhaps Arteta will continue not playing necessarily to his strengths. Just a possibility. But on a different day, that Man United side walks away from that game victorious, and I gotta be honest, relatively comfortably too. Relatively comfortably. But hopefully that's not a deflating result. Like I want Manchester United to be balloon headed going into Fulham away, and really stick it to them. Make a statement, mission statement. Say, well, look, we lost the opening game against Arsenal. We're going to put us not scoring any goals down to bad luck. Let's go and make our luck down in London, and we'll tell them if we slap up Fulham here. There you go. You guys over in North London who, you say, "Ooh, you guys celebrate positives. We celebrate the 3 points." Well, enjoy your 3 points, but when you start playing like shit, or can carry on playing like shit, but you get no points, it very quickly, very, very quickly goes from a beautiful, delectable melody of joyous jubilation in winning games to oh my god, we need to get the manager out ASAP. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the world we're living in right now. But it is what it is. We, as a 15th place side right now, that finished 15th last season, we're taking the little wins right now because we are in record bad territory for the Premier League. So yeah, we're kind of worlds apart here. But hey, who knows? Maybe we'll wave you by if the season really does if the shit hits the fan for you. So that's my courtesy to you. So yeah, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Quick fire transfer speculation. Atalanta perhaps interested in Rasmus Højlund. They are following the situation as to whether they actually get stuck in. We'll have to see. But yeah, definitely a move before deadline day is on the cards for Rasmus Højlund, as not being involved in the squad is kind of your telltale sign that you are not wanted. Sancho might be aiming to run down his contract. The guy despises Man United. Let's just make no mistake about it. If he's deliberately happy to run down his contract to destroy Manchester United as much as possible for that particular sake, I'm afraid that Manchester United, or actually no, Jadon Sancho won't be the one that gets the last laugh when he does that. I'm sorry, he won't. Because if he sits on his ass for a year, people think that, take a year out of football, and you'll just jump straight back into the very, very, very highest level, and it'll be fantastic. It takes you forever to integrate back into the highest level, sitting on your ass playing no football, none whatsoever. Not even the same as having an injury riddled season. You're still playing more, you're still hotter. You're still hotter with playing. You're more adapted. You're ready to go than somebody who kicks his feet up and relaxes on his fat contract for the last year, or his fat wages for the last year, and then leave on a free agency. You better hope he's got a world class agent, because he's been offered an out to play football and has had a few lucrative projects offered to him, but he keeps turning people down. He keeps turning people down. But if he chooses that, I'm sorry, Jaden, you better listen, because you won't get the last laugh with this. We will be laughing at you for as long as with every passing day that you don't get picked up by a football club that's in the European elite. Well, yeah, you'll sign for your for some club that'll pick you up, that out of sorrow picks you up and says, "Don't worry, we'll give you your chance." But it's not, you on the pitch just won't hit the same. It won't feel the same. It's not quite clicking for you. You're not striking gold, and we'll enjoy watching you realise, well, actually, I could have stayed playing with some of the biggest clubs in the world had I have just stayed on the train with playing and continuing to play football. I should have gone to Chelsea. I should have taken up the offers from all of these other clubs. So maybe he'll prove me wrong by actually leaving this summer. But if he doesn't, we will get the last laugh. I implore to him, we will have the last laugh. You will be the one that has egg on your face, to put it simply. Garnacho can sit in that boat as well. Chelsea can do one with their player valuation. These mans can seriously sell Noni Madueke for £50+ million, right? And then say Garnacho's worth 25. Mate, you overinflate the market by charging extortionate fees for players, but then you sound a little bit upset and think we're unreasonable if we say, well, you laid the benchmark, so there you go, there's your player, just pay up. It's as simple as that. As simple as that. But so he only wants Chelsea, and he turned down an approach from Bayern. This, I'm telling you right now, Garnacho wanting Chelsea is because, again, he hates Manchester United. Like, a lot of these players despise us, really, really despise us, which I find absolutely hilarious. I mean, he turned down an offer from Bayern bloody Munich, for crying out loud. Bayern bloody Munich. I'm telling you right now, if Garnacho were to go to Bayern Munich, well, there's a free meal ticket into the Argentinian national team for the World Cup. Free meal ticket, golden meal ticket. Got some coaching news that Stephen Torpe, Brentford's academy manager, set to join United, replacing previous academy director Nick Cox, who left to join Everton. So that is Jason Wilcox appointing somebody for academy staff. Whether that actually results in anything, we'll have to see. We've also got a proposal from Rabiot's camp. Here we go again. Is offering clubs the chance to sign his player. He was a target many years ago, but in recent years, not close. He's going to be offered to clubs for around 15 to 20 million euros. But that is further confirmation that the intent is not to entertain a Rabiot deal. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at the moment. As for this Agume deal, apparently, according to a Sevilla outlet, don't take my word for it, United were apparently prepared to bid 22 to 26 million pound, whereas his release clause is stated at 35 million pounds, which Sevilla want or would prefer a club to pay that pre-agreed deal or pre-agreed fee. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with transfer news. Let me know your thoughts and your feelings about the state of Manchester United. Whether United are in for a good season or a bad season in the look ahead. Based off of the opening weekend, I can imagine there's going to be quite a few clubs in a spot of bother this season. Some of those clubs did pick up points this weekend. Some of those clubs that I think are going to be in bother, they did pick up points. And I do think that we'll see the table move around an awful lot this season, and for quite a fair while, I think too. So yeah, pop your thoughts in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And yeah, we'll be back quite possibly tomorrow with the good, the bad, and the ugly. No Anthony on that show. If he's disappeared away on holiday, maybe he makes a cameo appearance. We'll have to see. Until then, take care, people, and we'll see you again next time. Ciao for now.